Board games. They're the hot new thing. Except they're not really new. Some of them are hot though. And as the hobby becomes more and more popular year over year, I'm gonna take it upon myself as a member of the board game community to say that the best story I have ever experienced was in a certain type of board game. I didn't know what to do. Every step I took, he just wanted more and more and more. Even after I filed for bankruptcy, he still hadn't had his fill. He took my dog. He took my shoes. He took my grandma's lucky thimble. I understand that you were seen speaking to him at the jail. Care to explain? I was just visiting. You finally came to see an old rival, eh? Oh, you don't look so good. They let you keep your clothes. That was nice. What happened to your monocle? I don't believe I've ever had one. Do you truly care so little for me that you've forgotten what I look like? It's understandable, though. I don't really think about you at all. You're an animal. The world is better off having you locked behind bars. Perhaps. Though I still have friends on the outside. Funny enough, a little doggy informed me that on your way here you landed on my property. I believe you owe me $200. No, you're in prison. They seized your assets. I know that. Not here. See, when you own the game, the house lets you make a few rules of your own. And I intend to collect. I have nothing! You took it all. Not all. I believe you have properties on Mediterranean and Baltic. Pittances, but I'd be happy to take them off of your hands. You're sick. I'm not a threat to you anymore, and yet you keep kicking me while I'm down. You tore up my house to put up a damn hotel. What else is there? What do you want? In a word? Monopoly. Hi, by the way. Now, to fully appreciate the excellence of the game I'm going to tell you about, we need a little background knowledge. So let's bring it a little bit back. Whoa, not that far back. But keep this game in mind. This is the Royal Game of Ur. It's dated back to between 2600 and 2400 BC, and it's the oldest game in the world that we still know how to play. Now, it's not the oldest game in the world. I believe that is an ancient Egyptian game called Senet? Senet? Something like that. But we don't know how to play that, so who cares? Like every piece of media, board games can be broken down into their individual genres. Now, I do say genres there, and that might be controversial, I don't know. I'm a board gamer, not that kind of board gamer. I think that the way board gamers talk about mechanics in board games serves the same function as asking someone, hey, what kind of book do you like? If they say fantasy, well, I've got a whole library worth of fantasy books that I could recommend to you. What do you like from there? Do you like urban fantasy? Do you like high fantasy? Do you like some lo-fi fantasy? Some futuristic sci-fi fantasy? I got books for you. And in the same way with video games, if you like turn-based RPGs, I've got plenty for you. You could go Baldur's Gate, you could go, you like a JRPG? Yeah, we could go Fire Emblem. We could go even Pokemon if that's what you're into. And if someone were to say they like shooter battle royales, to that I could say, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Do you need assistance? How many slurs have you learned this week alone? Do you hate your mother, or do you enjoy hearing her called such horrible things? And if someone says they like worker placement games, take your pick. We've got 5 Tribes, Mission Red Planet, Everdell, Dead of Winter. We've got, oh, what's that one game I've got? It's like Endless Winter, Paleo Americas. Not sure why they thought that was a good name for a board game. It's pretty fun. I like it. And if you don't like worker placement games, there's plenty of other genres you can choose from. You can do social deduction, like Werewolf. Everyone's played Werewolf, right? There's also trading card games and dexterity games, engine builders, there's deck builders, there's cooperative games. There's so many different types of board game genres. And as we walk through our board game library, there are going to be 2 guiding lights throughout that library. It's going to be our fiction and our non-fiction for the sake of the metaphor, and that'll be Eurogames and Amerigames. To understand the difference between the two types, let's talk about chess. Everyone knows how to play chess. The little pawns can move twice at the very beginning, the horsey moves in an L, your princess can be in another castle, and you win the game by flipping the table because everyone's better than you. But let me ask you this. What's the story of chess?
You see, the story of chess isn't really about war at all. It's a meta-commentary on war itself. Is it really the geopolitical landscape that has led us to the point we are at? Or is it seeing ourselves so different from our enemies that it can only be white versus black? Maybe you see yourself as white and your neighbor, maybe they're gray. But with time and anger and hatred, and maybe their dog was a little too much on your lawn for your liking, over time they might become darker, become black, and you are still the virtuous white. Yes, you in the back?
Yeah, I thought the pieces were just black and white so you could more easily distinguish them from your opponent's pieces. Is that not right?
Out, everybody get out. Class is over for the day. I'm gonna need a serious matcha break after this. Some students.
There really isn't much of a story. It's two armies attempting to make the optimal moves until one or the other is put in checkmate and their king is taken. That's pretty boring. Must be European. Eurogames are defined by being more about strategy and personal ability. There's not a lot of luck involved, not a lot of RNG from flipping cards or rolling dice. There's not going to be a lot of cooperative games that fall under the Euro game catalog. Games like Catan or Ticket to Ride would fall within the Euro games category. There's little to no dice rolling or drawing of cards. It's just you versus your friends. Hopefully you're playing with friends. It makes it a lot more fun when you're playing with friends and not, let's say, your mean older brother. And there's really not a lot of theming that goes into them. Like with a game like Splendor. You play as a gem merchant trying to get the best mines for the best gems so you can sell those gems and get more money. In Seven Wonders, you play as a civilization attempting to build one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. There's not a lot of room for the fantastical or the mystical, or what are you doing here? Okay. Scythe is actually pretty badass. Scythe is a game where you and other players are trying to profit off of the fall of the USSR. There's these really cool diesel machines. I think it might be the only game with a diesel punk aesthetic, and you don't see diesel punk done all the time. Good game. Also probably my favorite game of all time. But from personal experience and pure speculation, this is the exception, not the rule. But by far, my favorite example of a Euro game is Azul. In Azul, you play as the thing every little boy or girl growing up wants to be, a tile mason. Don't get me wrong, I like the game. I just find it hilarious to think of the marketing meeting where they were like, all right, everybody, we've done 200 rounds of playtesting. The mechanics are fun, it's easy to pick up, but we need a theme. Something that's gonna make everybody want to get this game. Ideas, no bad ideas.
Building out a map?
That's a bad idea.
Tile masons.
What'd you say? The game should be about tile masons. And on the other side of our board game library, we have games that are a little more about luck, a little more about theming. You'll find most of your cooperative games in this category, and that is Amerigames. This type of game is also known by the Eurogamer purist as Ameritrash. Or if you're cool, Ameritrash.
What, they don't like having fun? They don't like playing games with their friends? What's wrong with a little RNG? Just draw that card, see what you got, and make the best of it.
Games in this category would be like Dead of Winter, Pandemic, and Betrayal at House on the Hill. We'll be talking about Pandemic and Betrayal later. You don't need to know how to play them. Basically, one of them, you're fighting a disease that's trying to end all life on Earth, and in the other one, you go up to the big scary mansion from every horror movie that old man McCrotchety told you not to go into, but you did anyway. Can you guess which one is which? Put your guess down in the comments. A great example of Ameritrash games, and yes, I will be referring to it as Ameritrash games for the rest of the video because I'm cool, is Summoner Wars, both first and 2nd edition. I've often described Summoner Wars as a mix between chess and Magic the Gathering. In the game, 2 armies, led by summoners, will strategically attempt to move around the battlefield until one or the other summoner is defeated. I don't know, that sounds a lot like chess to me. It was a 1-sentence synopsis. I'm not done yet. In the game, you will summon your army with your summoner, and the summoner will use gates to summon different units. Each summoner has these special little symbols on there that tell you both how they're going to be played, as well as what kind of units can be in their deck. And while, yes, each summoner does come with their standard starting deck, you can use those little symbols on matching cards to build up your own. It's like my favorite kind of trading card game. The kind where there is no trading involved. You get all the cards, you pay for all the cards at one time, and the fun is building your own deck. And once you've developed whatever monstrosity you call a deck, you can face your friends. But I'm not here to talk about the rules or how to play or strategic guide or anything like that. Though if you do play the online version, leave a battle link down in the comments. Let's see if we can't get something going. Now I will warn you, my free real estate deck will destroy you. You've been warned. Building the perfect deck and facing your friends is only like 2/3 of the fun. You see, this game has lore. 1st edition does have more of a story that we're going to go off of, so we will focus on that one, but it's not really a fair comparison. 2nd edition is just getting its feet off the ground even though it's been out for a couple years, and 1st edition is already completed. Not to say we won't touch on 2nd edition's story, but we'll just get to that a little later. It was Rhett Tallis who was first to find a summoning stone. Its strange power infused the Mad King, granting him prolonged life. For 1,000 years his kingdom reigned, unable to be challenged by the armies of men, and elves, and Vargath, and any fool who sought to challenge the master of the summoning stone. Even the vanquished and the weaklings who fell to disease and old age had their place in Rhett Tallis' kingdom. All was lost for Etheria. It was Dane Lightbringer who found the 2nd summoning stone. Lightbringer, so he was called, for he not only shone as the light of virtue and goodness, but brought to light that the Mad King's stone was not unique. His oppression could be beaten. Every kingdom in Etheria turned their resources to scouring the land in hopes of finding a summoning stone of their own. Rhett Tallis, mad as he may be, foresaw the end of his fallen kingdom should he take no action. With a 2nd summoning stone pillaged from the vanguard, the rotten king made his plan. Should the fallen kingdom not be the only stoneholder, Rhett Tallis whispered to his new prize, then I shall ensure every madman in Etheria is armed with one. This has been my audition for the lead narrative designer for the Summoner Wars graphic novel. My name is Adam, I am 5'4". And if you work at Plaid Hat, or if you know someone that works at Plaid Hat, you can get a hold of me at 555. And if you don't want to start at the very beginning, we can hop straight to the Fall of Prince Elian, just to gauge the market. It could go out with the next expansion for the game, whatever you guys want to do. I'm looking forward to your call, thank you. Now, you tell me, which one sounds like a better story? The one about building trains across Europe, or America, or wherever the next expansion brings us? Or the one where you're fighting battles to decide the fate of Etheria? Mind you, they're both fun. I like both games. One's just a little easier to explain to my mother, and it is not the one with the sand goblins and the buff goats and the abomination! And for those of you who are interested in the story of Summoner Wars 2nd Edition, our boy Rhett Tallis is back. He's either more insane or more cunning than ever. Let's see, Sneaks has unified the cave goblins under his control with his summoning stone. Takulu, I believe, has yet to say a word. We don't know what's going on with the breakers. Most interesting, though, is Sarah, the summoner for the Vanguard. Yeah, I guess they either didn't lose their summoning stone in this edition, or I don't know, whatever. But basically what's going on right now with her story is that she actually discovered some secrets of the Eternal Council. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you don't know who the Eternal Council is. You kind of get the idea from the name, the Eternal Council. And she also survived learning the secrets and falling out of favor with the Eternal Council. I think she's being set up to kind of be our main protagonist. I don't really know how it's going to work out right now. I mean, this story's still kind of in its first act, which is why now would be the perfect time to launch the graphic novel for Summoner Wars 2nd Edition. Once again, I am Adam, I am 5'3", and I'm willing to go bald if that's what the role requires. Thank you very much. Once again, my number is... But no, that's not good enough. Now, I'm not just looking for a game with a story. Every game could potentially have a story. I'm looking for a game where I am the story, okay? I want my choices to matter. I want them to matter not only for this game, but for games to come. Could I perhaps recommend a game of Oath? Oath is a game by Cole Worley, who I met at Gen Con last year. Not relevant to the video, I just wanted to brag a little bit. Here's Cole, and there's me. Me and my friends were cosplaying as characters from another game he designed called Root. Great game, give it a try. Cole Worley is one of the best designers in the board game space right now. And I think you'll agree with me once I tell you a little bit about Oath. Oath is a game that is described as a game that remembers it has been played. It's a game of power struggles and shifting loyalties. People can become citizens and they can become exiled, and power changes hands basically every single game. Now, what makes the game so interesting and why I think Cole Worley is such a genius is that the winner of the last game influences how the next game is played. The winner of the game has the option to become Chancellor for the next game. And when they become the Chancellor, they have the opportunity to pardon exiles, returning them to citizenship. Their specific relics go into the reliquary, their holds stay on the board for the next game setup. And as Chancellor in that next game, you get to know your win condition. That's such an awesome idea for a game. Like, only one person in Oath knows what their specific win condition is. Everybody else has to go out and find their win condition. So cool. Basically, when you win one game, you have the ability to set yourself up for future games. You can strengthen your alliance by making an exile that you got along with a citizen. It's like a Game of Thrones style story where you're vying for power, each person trying to one-up the other, and once you have the power, you're trying to hold on to it. Setting up the next game so you have the best chance of holding on to your power. The story is what you make of it, and the history is written as you're playing. It's such a cool idea for a game. Cole, if you ever see this video, I'm challenging you to a game of Arcs at Gen Con this year. Be there or be square. And the kicker is you don't even have to play with the same group of people every single time. You could play one game and then another group comes in who's never played the game before, and they still feel the effects of your game on theirs. It's such a cool mechanic, and it goes even further beyond just writing your name in the achievements list. By the way, some board games have achievements list. Some board games have achievements list, just in case any of you completionist junkies were thinking about getting into the hobby. There you go, fill it out. Your first game has a cascading effect on the next game, and the game after that, and your grand games. If you pick up a copy of Oath at like a garage sale, that family's games will be affecting yours. How's that for you? Nope, not good enough. I want a game where my decisions have a real impact on the story. Okay, what about D&D and Pathfinder? No. Those games set back to zero eventually. What do you mean? Well, every player starts off with the same rule set. And yeah, you can continue on a campaign even after your characters have all reached level 20. You can go kill gods, or you can start over at level 1, whatever. But eventually that campaign will be over. But the next person that gets your books will start a campaign of their own. And they won't care about your 20-year-long adventure with your best friends. No one does. And when that campaign is over, there will be nothing left. There will just be the memories and the story that are inside of your own head. Besides, all DMs are just winging it anyway. What? No, I do not just wing it. My campaigns are thorough and well detailed, and you left your phone open on the desk. Shoot. Looks to me like a blank Google Doc with Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign that will be fun as the title. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You find me a game where my actions actually make a difference in the story, and I'll cut this part out of the video. Deal?
deal. Just, please, my players can't know that I don't know what I'm doing.
So let's pretend everything we've talked about so far is on a line, numbered 0 through 100. This line is going to represent how much our choices in any game affect the rest of the game. So 1 is going to be like our baseline. That's going to be the decision to play a game in the first place. And 1 through like 15 is going to be like Candyland, where there's not really a whole lot of things you can do. The only physical representation you have on the board is your piece moving it across. The game life is probably going to be in like the 5 to 15 range, because there's not a lot to do. You just spin the thingy, you move your PC, and then you pick whichever one gets you more money. Monopoly will put around 15 to 20, just because once again, you move your piece, you buy the property if you got the money, but there's also like mortgaging and houses and all that stuff. So there's a little more complexity. And pretty much every other game mentioned or not mentioned is above 20 and below 100. Our 1 to 20 range is going to be games where it's like teaching children the concept of following rules and sharing and all that kind of stuff. Anything above that, up to 100, is more or less a game where your choices have consequences, whether they be for only you or for everybody at the table. Ironically, I do think Mousetrap, the game for like kids with the Rube Goldberg machine, is probably out of 100, because everything you do in that game affects everything else. Anyway, but what if I told you there's a type of board game that goes even further beyond our 100? A game where every choice you make affects not only the round you're playing, but every subsequent game, and even the rulebook itself. This type of game not only invites you to mutilate the board and tear up cards and open boxes of mystery, but it's a game that you can truly only play once. And this type of game is called a legacy game. Legacy games, not to be confused with games with a campaign, are relatively new to the board game space. See, I told you that the Royal Game of Ur would come back up. Whereas the Royal Game of Ur was dated back to 2600 BC, the first legacy game came out in 2011. And that game was Risk Legacy. Published by Hasbro, it was the first game of its kind. They marketed the game with the idea of defacing the board and physically putting stickers on the game for a more immersive experience. And the board game community seemed to really like the idea as well. Now, if you don't know how to play Risk, not a big deal. We're not going to really talk about it, but if you want to know how to play Risk, ask your dad. Or ask a friend's dad, or just ask any dad on the street. Dads love Risk. Now, at the time of recording, there are between 72 and 207 legacy board games. I guess that all really depends on your definition of a legacy board game. If your idea is opening different boxes and revealing new pieces that you can play with, yeah, that's probably closer to the 207. In my personal opinion, it's probably closer to the 72. In my mind, a legacy board game is more than just opening boxes for new game pieces. It's having a physical change in your board and in the way you play. A game where your choices have consequences that cannot be taken back. Now, if you want to get started in legacy board games, I suggest Betrayal Legacy. It's the legacy version of Betrayal at House on the Hill, and that's a pretty popular game, pretty well known. And the thing about Betrayal Legacy is that you can actually continue to play the game even after the story is done. As a spoiler-free teaser, that's why I'm covering up the name, it has a spoiler on there, for what the legacy version of Betrayal has, there are these little crests down here. So basically, as you play the game, you're playing as multiple generations of a single family, and you can use these little sigils to mark something as a family heirloom, so that when a later generation comes along and maybe they find these cultist robes, they have an extra ability that they can do because it's a family heirloom. I think Risk was probably one of the few board games that could have started the legacy game trend. I mean, it's a game about conquering the world. And anyone who has seen Saving Private Ryan knows that where there is war, things are changed. So it actually does make a lot of sense to permanently change the board and change the landscape of the game area when you're firing off tanks and driving around mechs. But there is one other game that I think could have started the legacy game trend, and that game is Pandemic Legacy. Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was released in 2015 by Z-Man Games. And there is a prequel and a sequel
to Pandemic Season 1. So if you wanted to, you could just run the gambit and do the prequel, and then Season 1, and then Season 2.
With a BGG score of 8.5, Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was received even better than Risk Legacy. And at one time, it was ranked the best game of all time. Now, just to warn you, before we get into this next section, there will be spoilers for Pandemic Legacy Season 1. At least my version of the game. So if you're trying to play the game just on your own time, probably click away now. How cool is it that you get to say spoilers about a board game? That's fun. Larnold! He was a friend. A good soldier. He was a traitor. There are only 3 other people on this earth that know the pain that that name brings forth. I almost get sick just thinking of it. Larnold. At a certain point in the game, a traitor is revealed. And at least in the game that I played, our traitor was Larnold G. Doug. As punishment for his crimes, he was ripped in twain, never to be used again. Now, if you'll look at the back of this card, can you please go ahead and read the last date that is on there? That's right, September. And the court will note that the month that the traitor is revealed is September. We had been using Larnold up until the very end, the moment when we had to end his card's career. His skills as a soldier meant that he could ignore the scars that would have crippled Carol, the intern, Colonel, or even Harold Steinberg. And you'll note, I played Harold. He was the medic, perhaps one of the more useful characters to play. He couldn't go into those dangerous situations. Not by himself, he had more important things to do. He had to cure the world. Larnold was our only choice. You'll also note, right here, every game played with Larnold was successful. We didn't tear him up because we wanted to. Because that's what the rules of the game said, because he betrayed humanity. No. We tore him up because it was the right thing to do. A board game. A form of recreation where knowing the rules and how those rules are applied is part of the fun. And yet I was still able to be shocked and baffled by the reveal of a traitor that I didn't know was in there. Don't you worry, there's an even bigger shock to come. But before we get into that, there is a little information that I need to relate to you. This was our game board, and you can tell just how mature we were since we named the diseases bird poop fireball, Jim's tooth, and boar flu. We were very mature for our age. Now, like pretty much everything else in the game, this board is 100% unique. There is no board on Earth, more than likely, that looks exactly like this. And in the game, we did better than some, worse than others. In fact, I've got the scorecard right here. We earned a total of 730 points out of a possible 1,000. And according to the back of the card, that means disaster was averted. In our game, we had a lot of trouble with coda, which pretty much everyone does, seeing as how it's basically designed around coda being a problem. That's probably why they don't let you name that one yourself. And in our specific version, coda was red, which means it was over here in East Asia and Australia. We did not make that decision. It had to do with the number of disease cubes that were on the board during a specific point in the story. Though it does remind me of a different game about a world-ending disease, and everyone at school was talking about how if you start in China, it's the best place because of the population density. Different game, I just think it's a funny coincidence. We did not make that decision. But nonetheless, the decision was made, and we placed our first sticker permanently, changing this board forever. I was actually just trying to peel off these extra stickers that we put on top of here to show you the first one. I physically can't without like ripping the board and the other stickers. But that's what makes the game so cool. One sticker was put on this stupid little piece of cardboard, and you will never be able to play the same game again. And it goes even further beyond that. Check this out. This is the rule book for the game. And like I said earlier, part of playing a board game is knowing the rules inside and out. But this is a legacy game, so of course it's gotta be a little different. Right here. As new rules were introduced into the game, we had to make accommodations for it. The rules changed. We couldn't play the exact same way anymore. So, we added stickers to the rulebook. How cool is that? Generally speaking, the rules are going to be the same for everybody. The stickers are going to go in the same place for everybody's game, but just, it's so cool that you get to physically change the rulebook. Fast forwarding a little bit, we beat March and we're moving into April. Our mission briefing reads, carry on. Complete 2 of the 3 existing objectives. We get the chance to catch our breath, complete a couple of the objectives that, what the hell is that? Oh yeah, did I mention there are zombies in this game? Coda has mutated, producing frightening results. Victims' skin turns translucent, showing the viscera and tissue beneath. Even worse, these faded often experience periods of great rage, attacking anything within sight. They are agitated and confused during these times, often hallucinating and exhibiting bizarre and abnormal behavior. After these aggressive periods, the faded are normal in demeanor, although horrible to behold. What kind of game about a disease ending the world would be complete without zombies? The Faded, as they're called in the game, are the result of a mutation of Coda. They cause riots, infect other cities, and they can't be cured with medicine. The only way to stop them is with some good old-fashioned lead to the head. Good thing we've got our buddy Larnold and a bunch of military bases all over the world to deal with these little abominations. What could possibly go wrong? I'm thinking we'll have this whole thing sorted out by, let's say, August? It's August now. Things are worse. This month may have been the darkest in my young life. We were on a hot streak. Okay, Coda couldn't touch us. Yeah, the Faded were amassing in East Asia, but who cares? We got everything else under control. When the Faded popped up, we put them right back in the ground where they belonged. But it couldn't last forever. While most of the world was secure, we couldn't risk the Faded getting into the Americas. We set up roadblocks, figured it'd be easier to fight only on one front. We closed down all travel to one hemisphere and decided we would make our stand in the West. That's when we got the call. Our higher-ups said they'd been working on something, and they finally got the clearance in the budget. They told us we could open folder 16. I want to warn you, before we go any further, it's more than what me and my friends got. What I'm about to tell you may be hard to hear, but I'm asking you not to look poorly on me, or my friends for that matter. We did what we thought we had to do. There it was, the power of the sun at our beck and call, the work of better minds than mine in the palm of my hand. It was the only choice we could make. Loose the bomb. Eradicate Hong Kong. Save the world. You gotta understand, we were just kids. Maybe 15, 16, 17. We made the choice. We made the call. The order was sent. The bomb fell. Yeah, the Faded were gone. But so was Hong Kong. So many lives snuffed out. People that could have been saved. Gone because of what we did. We took the easy way. Sure, we should have done it the right way. But hindsight is always 20/20. It wouldn't be the last time we took the easy way out either. We're not looking for your forgiveness. But may God have mercy on our souls. This was the moment that made me realize we were doing more than just playing a game. Yes, it was fun, and the rules were changing all the time, which made the replayability through the roof. But the whole time, we were playing to save the lives of little tiny itty-bitty people that we would never see. And we, as a group, chose to snuff out some of those lives in the hopes of saving others. The people we'd been fighting to cure the entire time, and we chose to wipe some of them out, because it might make it a little easier for us down the road. This moment gave me the purest feeling of being told a great story. a feeling that I haven't really felt a whole lot since then. But this wasn't the end. The very next month, in September, we'd find out that Larnold betrayed us, and we'd been played from the very beginning. My name is Sergeant Michael Davidson, and I am sorry for what I've done. I write this note in case they get to me before I find asylum. The world needs to know that this current epidemic was not the result of nature, but of a select group working within the CDC in Atlanta. I know because I held a position of authority within the group that granted me access to the file. I was there when we first administered Coda. By causing terror, this group would seize control of the cities, the banks, commerce, martial law, and then a new world order. They are succeeding. I can no longer face what I did to start this. I was a soldier, and my job was to follow orders. But those orders do not exonerate me. I only hope that I can undo what I've done. In this dossier are emails from this group, which calls itself Zodiac. I also have escaped with extensive files showing the development of the Coda virus. I do not understand it, but I hope that those with more training can use it to help with a cure. I am so very sorry. Please, help us all. This whole time, the game we thought we were playing was playing us in return. We were all soldiers thinking the game wouldn't lie to us, surely. We have the rule book, we know how to play, and the rule book says follow orders. Cue the clip.
Are we the baddies?
A group known as Zodiac intentionally spread the Coda virus. They sought to gain power and influence. Not only did they hold the key to the cure for Coda, but they also held the military in the palm of their hand. And throughout the entirety of the game, we personally had been setting up military bases to help fight off Coda. We played right into their hand. They got what they wanted out of us. But thankfully, there was a guilty party who had a last-second come-to-Jesus moment and did the right thing. Supplied with samples of the Coda virus, we would make a cure. We would be ascribed no more objectives. We took control back into our hands. We would find a cure. We would distribute the cure. We would destroy military bases and anyone who got in our way until the world was safe again. And if you'll look once again at the card for Larnold G. Doug, he was a Sagittarius. The answer is right in front of us the whole time. We were just too blind to see it. But no more. The ball was in our court. We would do whatever it took to make sure the world was safe. And how the game ended? Well, that belongs to me and my friends. We did win. I've got the scorecard right here to prove it. But the memories and the story that came along with it, those are mine. When telling a story, the medium has to work with the story. We held the fate of the world in our hands, and over many, many hours, over multiple days, over multiple months, we were immersed in this game and in this story. We felt the weight of our actions and the pain of being used as pawns in somebody else's scheme. Try getting that out of chess. The best part of a legacy game is the end. This game will never be played again. Sure, you might be able to finagle some rules or house rule some stuff or play without certain cards, but this game will never be played again. And when the last die is cast, when the last card is drawn, when the last box is opened, you have left your legacy. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like the video so it gets pushed out to more people. Subscribe if you want to see more of me and the stuff I've got in the works. And leave a comment about if you play board games. What's your favorite board game? Also share this video with any board gamer friends that you might have. Okay, bye.